morning is a doorway. Before the world speaks to you, before messages, noise, or demands arrive, there is a quiet moment where your mind is open and receptive. In that moment, the assumptions you choose become instructions to life. The day does not begin when you step outside. It begins the instant you decide what kind of day it will be. Most people wake up reacting. They assume the day will be heavy, rushed, difficult, or disappointing. And life, always obedient to belief, reflects exactly that. But when you wake up consciously, when you gently guide your thoughts, instead of letting them wander, the entire rhythm of the day changes. Begin your morning by assuming that life is on your side, not as hope, not as effort, but as a calm inner knowing. Assume that today supports you. Assume that things unfold smoothly. These assumptions are not wishes. They are directions. The mind listens first, and the body follows. When you expect ease, you move with ease. When you expect solutions, you notice opportunities you once ignored. Assume that you are safe today. Safe to be yourself, safe to speak, safe to relax. Safety in the mind softens the body, and a relaxed body sends a powerful message to life. I trust. Trust opens doors that force never could. When you start the day from trust, you no longer rush the moment. You allow it to cooperate with you. Assume that you are worthy of good experiences today. Worthy of kindness, respect, clarity, and success. You do not need to earn worthiness. You activate it by recognizing it. When you assume your value, you naturally choose better thoughts, better responses, and better actions. The world mirrors that self-respect without resistance. Assume that everything you encounter today is working for you, even if it does not appear that way at first. This single assumption dissolves anxiety. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Your energy quietly says, this is guiding me. Life responds differently to someone who trusts the process than to someone who fights it. Assume that your words carry power today. Speak gently to yourself in the morning, because the inner conversation sets the tone for every outer interaction. When you say, today flows easily, your nervous system listens. When you say, I am supported, your choices align with that truth. Inner language is the blueprint of experience. Assume that you do not need to control the day for it to go well. Control creates tension, and tension blocks flow. But assumption is effortless. It is a quiet decision, not a struggle. When you assume harmony, you stop forcing outcomes and start allowing alignment. Life moves faster when you stop pushing it. Assume that good news can arrive today, not because you are waiting, but because you are open. Openness invites surprise. Expecting only struggle narrows perception, but expecting ease expands awareness. You begin to notice small victories, gentle synchronicities, and moments of grace that were always present but previously unseen. Assume that your presence is enough today. You do not need to prove, impress, or perform. When you rest in being rather than doing, your energy becomes magnetic. People respond to calm confidence. Situations resolve themselves around grounded awareness. Effortless influence comes from inner alignment, not exhaustion. As the morning unfolds, return to these assumptions gently. There is no need to repeat them with strain. A soft reminder is enough. The subconscious responds to consistency, not force. Each calm assumption is like planting a seed in fertile soil. You do not dig it up to check if it is working. You trust that growth is natural. By the end of the day, you may notice something subtle but profound. The day did not fight you. Conversations felt smoother. Delays felt less threatening. You felt guided instead of pressured. This is not coincidence. This is the result of choosing your inner starting point. Tomorrow morning, you will have the same doorway, and the day will once again ask you silently, what do you assume about me? Choose wisely. Life listens first thing in the morning. Morning assumptions quietly shape the direction of the entire day because the subconscious mind is most open and impressionable in the moments just after waking. Before responsibilities, conversations, and external demands rush in, the mind is soft, receptive, and undistracted. In this state, whatever you accept as true settles deeply, like ink on fresh paper. These early assumptions do not argue or negotiate with the subconscious. They simply enter and become instructions. This is why the first thoughts of the morning matter far more than most people realize. When you wake up, your subconscious is not yet filtered by logic or resistance. It is not asking whether something is realistic or deserved. It is listening. If the first inner statement is worry, pressure, or dread, the subconscious accepts that tone as the day's blueprint. It then quietly guides attention, emotions, and reactions to match that belief. The day begins to feel heavy, not because of what happens, but because of what was assumed before anything happened at all. Assumptions made in the morning act like a lens through which every experience is interpreted. If you assume the day will be difficult, your mind searches for evidence to confirm that assumption. Small delays feel personal. Neutral interactions feel tense. Opportunities go unnoticed because the subconscious is busy proving its original belief. This happens automatically without effort because the subconscious works to remain consistent with what it has accepted as true. However, when you gently choose a different assumption in the morning, the effect is just as automatic, but far more supportive. Assuming that the day will unfold smoothly signals safety to the nervous system. A relaxed nervous system allows clearer thinking, softer reactions, and more intuitive responses. You do not force yourself to be calm. Calm becomes your natural state because the subconscious believes there is no threat. The power of morning assumptions lies in their simplicity. They do not require repetition, emotion, or intensity. A quiet inner decision is enough. When you assume ease, the subconscious organizes behavior around ease. You move slower, breathe deeper, and respond rather than react. This internal shift subtly influences how others respond to you, how situations unfold, and how challenges resolve themselves. Before the world interferes with its noise, expectations, and pressures, your inner world sets the tone. Once emails, messages, news, and conversations enter, they compete for attention and influence, but the subconscious tends to defend what it accepted first. This is why a grounded morning assumption can carry you through a chaotic day without losing balance. The external world may fluctuate, but your internal baseline remains steady. Morning assumptions also shape self-perception. If you wake up assuming you are capable, supported, and worthy The subconscious aligns your posture, voice, and decisions with that belief. You are more likely to speak clearly, set boundaries, and trust your instincts. These small shifts create different outcomes, not through effort, but through alignment. Life responds differently to someone who expects support than to someone who expects struggle. The subconscious does not distinguish between imagined and real experiences. It responds to belief, imagery, and emotional tone. When you assume something positive in the morning, even briefly, the subconscious treats it as a reference point. Throughout the day, it nudges you toward thoughts and actions that match that assumption. This is not control or manipulation. It is natural cooperation between belief and behavior. Most people allow the world to decide their mood before they decide it themselves. They check their phone, remember yesterday's stress, or anticipate problems that have not yet occurred. In doing so, they hand their subconscious over to external influence. But when you consciously choose your morning assumption, you reclaim that authority. You decide the emotional climate before the weather changes. Over time, consistent morning assumptions recondition the subconscious. The mind learns that safety, ease, and trust are normal states. This reduces anxiety, overthinking, and emotional reactivity. The day no longer feels like something to survive, but something to move through with awareness. You stop bracing for impact and start expecting cooperation. The most important part is gentleness. Forcing positive thoughts creates resistance, and resistance signals danger to the subconscious. But a calm assumption feels natural and believable. It does not argue with reality. It guides perception. You are not denying challenges. You are choosing how to meet them. When the day ends, you may not remember every assumption you made, but you will feel the difference. The day will have a different texture, less friction, more flow. That is the quiet power of programming the subconscious before the world interferes. What you calmly expect in the morning or at any quiet moment of intention carries more weight than most people realize. The mind, when unhurried and centered, sends signals to the subconscious that do not argue, push, or struggle. These signals are like a gentle command to life itself, a clear blueprint that directs attention, perception, and behavior. Calm expectation is not passive hope or wishful thinking. It is a quiet alignment, a belief so steady that the mind and body begin to move in harmony with it automatically. Life, when met without tension or resistance, responds with the same ease that was assumed at the start. Expecting calmly creates a ripple effect. The subconscious listens first. It does not question the logic of a situation, nor does it judge whether the desired outcome is realistic. It simply accepts the energy you present as true and organizes perception, emotions, and behavior to match that truth. When the mind carries a sense of calm expectation, your body mirrors it. You breathe more evenly. Your muscles relax, and your nervous system operates in a state of readiness rather than fear. This relaxed state allows opportunities and solutions to appear more readily because tension no longer blocks perception or intuition. When people expect life to be difficult or challenging, tension builds in the body and mind. The subconscious moves to prove that assumption, often magnifying minor inconveniences into problems and interpreting neutral events as obstacles. Everything encountered seems to resist or oppose. Yet when calm expectation is present, that same external environment is interpreted differently. Delays become manageable, setbacks become lessons, and interactions become smoother. Life begins to reflect back what was quietly assumed without effort or force. Siam expectation is not about ignoring challenges or pretending that difficulties do not exist. It is about how you meet them. When the first response to uncertainty or difficulty is inner composure, the subconscious takes it as a signal that this is manageable, that the mind and body can respond effectively. This response reduces panic, overthinking, and unnecessary effort. Solutions appear more naturally. Ideas flow more freely, and energy is used efficiently rather than dissipated in struggle. Life responds to this alignment as if it were a natural law. The practice of calm expectation also influences perception. When you expect clarity, guidance, or support, you begin to notice cues that were invisible before. Conversations, events, and coincidences that would normally pass unnoticed are now registered as meaningful. People respond differently to you when you carry calm confidence rather than tension or desperation. Your presence alone can alter the energy of situations, drawing cooperation instead of resistance. This is not a trick or manipulation. It is the natural reflection of the energy you hold. Over time, cultivating calm expectation becomes a habit that subtly reprograms the mind. The subconscious starts to assume that life is predictable in its support rather than in its chaos. Fear and worry lose their grip and the mind moves from reactive to creative. You no longer chase outcomes or fight circumstances. Instead, you engage with life from a centered, grounded place. This creates a sense of empowerment that feels effortless because it relies on alignment rather than force. Words, thoughts, and imagery all play a role in reinforcing calm expectation. When the morning begins with gentle affirmations, quiet gratitude, or deliberate visualization, the subconscious absorbs these signals as true. Even few moments of focused calm can redirect the tone of the entire day. The body, following the mind, moves with less tension, and choices reflect clarity rather than stress. The day becomes cooperative, not combative. Resistance is the enemy of calm expectat. Ion. Struggle, impatience, and insistence create tension that signals to the subconscious that life is opposing you. Calm expectation, in contrast, communicates trust and readiness. It does not push or demand. It simply assumes that what is needed will unfold in alignment with your actions and awareness. Life mirrors this approach. When calm expectation guides the mind, the external world bends effortlessly towards support, solutions, and clarity. Even small shifts in assumption can have profound results. Expecting ease in simple tasks, clarity in decisions, or harmony in interactions may seem minor, but each calm expectation strengthens the subconscious habit of alignment. With repeated practice, this becomes the default mode of experience. Life, no longer meeting inner resistance, begins to move fluidly, revealing opportunities, insights, and connections that were always present but unnoticed. Ultimately, what you calmly expect is not just a thought or feeling, it is an inner directive. Life, which naturally reflects what is held in the subconscious, responds without questioning, without resistance. Your inner calm becomes a magnet for experiences that match it, shaping the day and, over time, shaping the course of life itself. Calm expectation is quiet power, effortless influence, and the simplest path to living in alignment with what is possible. Safety, worthiness, and trust are the invisible foundations of a life that flows effortlessly. When these three elements are present in the mind and body, energy moves freely, decisions are made with clarity, and obstacles appear smaller or dissolve entirely. Safety is the first pillar because the mind and body must feel secure before they can operate effectively. When you awaken with a sense of inner safety, the nervous system relaxes, tension decreases, and the day begins without struggle. This is not about external circumstances. Safety is an internal state, a quiet assurance that no matter what unfolds, you have the resources within to meet it. Feeling safe is more than avoiding danger. It is a sense of alignment and stability. When the subconscious perceives safety, it stops generating fear-driven reactions and allows space for creativity, intuition, and ease. The body is no longer braced against threats. It breathes naturally, muscles soften, and energy flows unhindered. Decisions no longer feel urgent or stressful because the mind trusts that time and circumstances are working in cooperation. Safety produces a calm alertness, a readiness to engage with life without resistance, and it creates fertile ground for the next pillar, worthiness. Worthiness is the acknowledgement that you deserve support, joy, clarity, and success. When this assumption is present, choices and actions align with it naturally. Worthiness is not earned by effort or achievement. It is recognized as an inherent state. The subconscious, hearing this quiet acceptance, stops seeking validation or proving value through struggle. When you operate from worthiness, interactions feel smoother, boundaries are respected, and decisions carry confidence rather than anxiety. The mind, body, and energy respond as if life itself recognizes your inherent right to positive experiences. Trust completes the triad. Trust is the gentle understanding that life is unfolding in alignment with your intentions and that the unseen forces of circumstance, timing, and opportunity are cooperating. Trust does not ignore challenges. It acknowledges them while maintaining a belief that solutions, clarity, and support are available. The presence of trust dissolves tension and frees attention from the need to control outcomes. The mind relaxes, the body responds with ease, and choices emerge from clarity instead of panic or reaction. Trust allows the day to flow naturally because it removes the friction of doubt and fear. When safety, worthiness, and trust are combined, they create a state in which life moves effortlessly. Actions feel aligned with intention. Decisions are guided by clarity rather than anxiety, and obstacles appear as opportunities or manageable events rather than threats. Energy is no longer dissipated in constant struggle, overthinking, or resistance. Instead, it is directed fluidly toward meaningful choices, creative solutions, and natural interactions. The day unfolds as if it is following a pattern, already understood, responding to the quiet assumptions established internally of the power of these three elements lies in their subtlety. They do not require force, insistence, or external validation. They are internal assumptions that guide the subconscious without argument. Even in challenging circumstances, when the mind begins from a place of safety, worthiness, and trust, it interprets events differently. Delays are seen as adjustments rather than obstacles. Mistakes become lessons rather than failures. Challenges are approached with resilience rather than tension. Life responds differently to this state of being because the energy behind it is coherent, steady, and aligned. Safety, worthiness, and trust are reinforced by gentle habits of thought and reflection. Beginning the day with calm affirmations, quiet visualization, or even simple recognition of these truths primes the subconscious. Each moment of alignment strengthens the default state of being, making effortless flow or natural over time. These are not magical formulas. They are practical, observable shifts in perception, energy, and response. As the mind becomes accustomed to operating from safety, recognizing worth, and trusting life's unfolding, the outer world begins to mirror this internal alignment. Even the smallest moments of practicing these assumptions carry profound effects. Feeling safe while making a difficult decision, believing in your worth when interacting with others, and trusting the timing of events all ripple outward. Energy that would have been consumed by tension, doubt, or fear becomes available for creativity, productivity, and connection. Life appears to cooperate not because it has changed, but because the perception and energy you bring have shifted the way you experience it. Ultimately, when safety, worthiness, and trust are established as internal truths, life ceases to be a series of struggles and begins to be a series of responsive, harmonious events. The subconscious aligns with these assumptions, directing attention, behavior, and energy toward ease rather than friction. Challenges remain, but they are met with composure, clarity, and confidence. Flow becomes natural because it is no longer forced. This triad is the quiet engine behind effortless living, creating a rhythm where life and intention move together smoothly and without resistance. The language we use internally, the words we think, the statements we repeat quietly to ourselves, the questions we ask in our mind has a profound effect on the way the day unfolds. Before any external input reaches us, before news, conversations, or responsibilities arrive, the inner dialogue begins to shape perception, mood, and even physical state. Words carry energy. They are not mere symbols or andes. They are instructions to the subconscious, signals that the mind, body, and energy system respond to automatically. The moment you wake and begin to speak to yourself internally, you are setting the emotional and physical tone for everything that follows. When internal language is tense, critical, or fearful, the body responds accordingly. The nervous system tightens, muscles contract, and breath becomes shallow. The mind interprets words like, "I can't handle this," or "I'm not ready," as commands to prepare for threat. Energy becomes defensive, attention narrows, and even small obstacles feel amplified. The day feels heavy, interactions feel strained, and Opportunities can pass unnoticed because the subconscious is responding to a foundation of tension and doubt. Internal language is more powerful than most realize because it programs automatic reactions long before conscious decisions are made. Conversely, when internal language is gentle, supportive, and affirmative, the body relaxes, clarity emerges, and energy moves with ease. Words such as, "I can manage this," "I am supported," or "I trust the process" are absorbed by the subconscious as a blueprint for experience. The mind begins to scan for solutions rather than problems. The body carries the signals of calm confidence, and choices are guided by clarity instead of panic or reaction. Emotional tone and physical state respond together. A relaxed body fosters clearer thinking, and calm thinking reinforces a relaxed body. This creates a self-reinforcing loop where internal language generates harmony and flow throughout the day. The language we use internally is often habitual. Many people repeat phrases unconsciously that reinforce limitation, stress, or fear. These phrases may arise from past experiences, cultural conditioning, or learned patterns. Each repetition strengthens the neural pathways associated with tension, resistance, or self-doubt. The subconscious does not discriminate. It takes statements at face value. Over time, habitual negative language programs the mind to interpret the world as difficult, unsafe, or unmanageable. The emotional tone becomes heavy, and the physical body mirrors that heaviness with chronic tension, shallow breathing, and fatigue. Shifting internal language requires gentle awareness and deliberate choice. Observing the first thoughts upon waking, recognizing recurring patterns, and consciously replacing tension-laden words with supportive statements begins to replacing the subconscious. These adjustments do not need to be forced. Even soft, quiet shifts, rephrasing a thought, asking a different question internally, or acknowledging possibilities signal to the mind and body that life can be approached differently. The emotional tone changes first, followed naturally by physical ease. Decisions and actions begin to reflect clarity, openness, and calm energy. Internal language also affects perception of external events. When the mind interprets situations with supportive words, neutral events are no longer magnified into stressors. Small delays are seen as adjustments, challenges as opportunities for growth, and interactions as potential for connection, rather than confrontation. The body, aligned with this internal dialogue, moves in a state of readiness rather than tension. Choices become guided by intention rather than reaction, creating an effortless rhythm where energy is directed toward constructive action rather than wasted on anxiety or frustration. Even subtle changes in internal language create measurable shifts. Simply replacing a critical thought with a neutral or affirmative one recalibrates the nervous system, reshapes perception, and opens awareness to possibilities that were previously overlooked. The subconscious begins to anticipate ease and cooperation instead of struggle and opposition. Over time, these shifts accumulate, transforming habitual responses, strengthening resilience, and generating a sense of alignment that feels natural and effortless. The power of internal language is also evident in how it shapes interaction with others. When the internal dialogue is composed, Kind and centered behavior naturally reflects that state. Tone of voice, posture, facial expression, and decision-making all mirror the inner conversation. Conversations and situations respond differently because the energy behind them has shifted. This is not manipulation. It is the natural law of reflection. What you carry internally is what life mirrors externally. By consistently choosing supportive, empowering, and calm internal language, the emotional and physical tone of the day is set before the world begins to impose its own rhythm. The mind and body are aligned, energy flows smoothly, and experiences unfold in harmony with intention rather than chaos. Internal language becomes the quiet architect of the day, shaping perception, guiding behavior, and directing energy. In this way, the way you speak to yourself internally is not just a habit. It is the foundation of every interaction, every decision, and every moment of experience, quietly determining whether the day flows effortlessly or is met with resistance. Letting go of control is one of the most profound shifts a person can make, and it opens the door to a life that moves with ease rather than struggle. Most people approach each day with the belief that they must manage every detail, anticipate every outcome, and guide every situation to their desired result. This constant need to control creates tension, resistance, and fatigue. It narrows perception, making obstacles feel larger than they are and opportunities harder to recognize. The moment you release the need to control, the mind and body relax, and life begins to cooperate naturally. Control is an effortful state. When the mind insists on directing every circumstance, it operates from fear of uncertainty. The body responds with tightness. The breath becomes shallow, and energy is constantly mobilized to defend against imagined threats. Even when things appear to be going well, the underlying tension prevents full enjoyment or awareness. This is because control assumes that life is something to be battled rather than something to be engaged with. Effort and struggle consume energy that could otherwise flow freely toward creative solutions, clarity, and fulfillment. When control is released, the subconscious perceives a state of trust rather than threat. This does not mean ignoring responsibilities or avoiding action. It means aligning effort with awareness rather than forcing outcomes. The mind becomes clear, the body becomes relaxed, and energy can be directed where it is most effective. Life responds differently to someone who operates from this space. Situations that once required constant pushing begin to resolve more smoothly. Solutions appear more naturally. Timing feels more aligned, and interactions with others carry ease rather than tension. Letting go of control is not an act of giving up. It is an act of confidence in the natural flow of life. It is the understanding that struggle is often unnecessary and that events tend to unfold in alignment with intention when effort is balanced with trust. When you attempt to manipulate outcomes too rigidly, life resists because the energy behind control is tension. Resistance arises in response to effort that is driven by fear, impatience, or doubt. By releasing control, the energy shifts from opposition to alignment, and cooperation replaces conflict. This shift also transforms perception. Events are no longer interpreted solely through the lens of struggle or challenge. Delays, changes, and unexpected occurrences are seen as part of the natural flow rather than interruptions. The mind becomes capable of responding creatively. Instead of reacting out of panic or frustration, the body mirrors this ease, moving fluidly and efficiently rather than stiffly and reactively. Even the simplest daily activities are experienced with more presence and calm energy because the underlying tension of control is removed. Letting go of control cultivates trust in oneself as well as in life. Trust that the skills, resources, and intuition you possess are sufficient for what arises. Trust that timing, circumstance, and interaction will support rather than obstruct when approached with calm awareness. This trust does not create passivity. It empowers action that is intentional, grounded, and effective. Decisions are made from clarity rather than compulsion, and choices are guided by insight rather than fear of what might go wrong. The process of releasing control is strengthened by small, deliberate practices, pausing before reacting, noticing tension in the body, and consciously choosing to release tightness are all ways to reinforce trust in the natural flow. Affirming statements internally, such as, "I allow life to unfold," or "I meet each moment with ease," recalibrate the subconscious to recognize cooperation rather than struggle as the default. Over time, these practices recondition the mind and body, creating a baseline of calm responsiveness instead of reactive tension. Even in complex or challenging situations, letting go of control produces noticeable effects. Problems that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Solutions appear more quickly. Interactions with others become smoother. Opportunities that were previously missed are recognized. Life responds naturally to the energy of release because the subconscious aligns with the expectation of cooperation rather than resistance. Ultimately, letting go of control is a way to move from force to flow. It is a quiet realignment of mind, body, and energy that allows life to operate in harmony with intention. The release is not about surrendering action. It is about surrendering struggle. By allowing life to cooperate rather than resisting, energy is preserved, clarity is amplified, and experiences unfold with more ease, elegance, and natural rhythm. The day becomes less about pushing against the world and more about moving with it, guided by calm awareness and trust. This shift is subtle yet profound, creating a life where obstacles are met with grace. Challenges are approached with clarity, and every moment can be experienced with presence and ease. Consistent assumptions are the quiet architects of life, far more influential than frantic effort or repeated struggle. Many people believe that success, ease, or progress depends primarily on how much energy they expend or how many actions they take. While effort has its place, it is the underlying assumptions, the beliefs about what is possible, what is deserved, and what can be achieved that truly shape outcomes. These assumptions set the tone for perception, decision-making, and action, and they influence the subconscious in ways that external effort alone cannot. The mind and body respond automatically to what is held as true, creating experiences that align with the assumptions repeated consistently over time, assumptions act as a lens through which reality is interpreted. When a belief is consistent, the subconscious organizes attention and behavior around it. For example, if someone assumes they are capable and supported, the mind automatically notices opportunities, solutions, and resources that confirm that belief. Effort then flows in a natural and efficient direction, guided by clarity rather than stress. Conversely, when assumptions are inconsistent or negative, effort often becomes scattered, tense, and less effective. The same action can lead to frustration or stagnation if it is based on doubt, fear, or uncertainty rather than steady belief. Consistency in assumptions is what allows the subconscious to take instruction seriously. The mind is like fertile soil. Repeated thoughts and beliefs are the seeds that grow into reality. One-off efforts, no matter how intense, rarely change the underlying landscape because the subconscious continues to operate based on the assumptions it has accepted as true. Each day presents a new opportunity to reinforce the assumptions that serve growth and alignment, and over time, these repeated patterns create momentum. Life begins to mirror the consistency of belief more than the quantity of action. The power of consistent assumptions is subtle but pervasive. They shape perception before conscious thought even begins. A person who assumes life is cooperative will notice synchronistic events, timely solutions, and people who support rather than obstruct. A person who assumes difficulty will experience delays, conflicts, and frustrations with greater intensity. It is not the external circumstances that determine this. It is the lens through which the subconscious interprets them. By reinforcing supportive, positive assumptions consistently, a person aligns their energy with outcomes they desire, making life respond with a natural rhythm rather than constant resistance. Effort without aligned assumptions is often exhausting. People push themselves, work long hours, and repeat tasks, yet encounter the same obstacles or repeated frustrations. This happens because energy is directed without coherent guidance. The subconscious, influenced by persistent assumptions of limitation, fear, or scarcity, does not support the effort. It organizes attention and behavior in ways that fulfill those assumptions. On the other hand, when assumptions are consistent and empowering, effort becomes focused, deliberate, and harmonious. Tasks that once felt arduous begin to feel manageable, even enjoyable, because the energy behind action is in alignment rather than opposition. Consistency also builds trust. Within the subconscious, the mind learns to rely on patterns of thought that are repeated steadily, interpreting them as the baseline of reality. When supportive assumptions are repeated daily, the subconscious begins to act as a cooperative partner rather than a reactive observer. Decisions become guided by internal clarity, and actions emerge naturally without forcing outcomes. The alignment between thought, belief, and action creates momentum that effort alone cannot achieve. Over time, this momentum compounds, leading to results that feel effortless yet powerful. Even small, repeated assumptions have a significant cumulative effect. Assuming ease, safety, capability, or abundance each morning may seem minor, but each repetition reinforces a framework in which life naturally cooperates. The subconscious begins to anticipate positive outcomes and guides attention, energy, and behavior accordingly. Effort, when applied within this framework, becomes more effective, less stressful, and more rewarding. Consistent assumptions create a stable foundation upon which success, clarity, and fulfillment are built, while sporadic or uncertain assumptions leave the mind scattered and drained. Ultimately, consistent assumptions are the invisible engine behind results. They shape attention, perception, and behavior in a continuous and reliable way, directing energy where it is most effective. Effort without alignment is scattered and often counterproductive, while consistent assumptions provide coherence, momentum, and focus. Life responds to what is held consistently as true, reflecting these beliefs back through experiences, opportunities, and interactions. Over time, the outcomes created by steady assumptions surpass what effort alone could accomplish. The subtle discipline of repeating supportive, aligned beliefs forms a foundation for success, ease, and growth that effort alone cannot sustain, demonstrating that what is held in the mind consistently shapes reality more profoundly than any external struggle.